Welcome into Moving the Chains. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. We've got another great offseason interview lined up for you guys. Got a very special guest, the new head coach of the Airport High School Eagles, Andre Cook. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Just getting home, third day of spring ball, and just really excited to be out there with the guys, and excited about getting a chance to talk to you guys.
That's awesome. We appreciate your time. We really do. Excited to get to know you a little bit more here with these next few questions here. For all the viewers and listeners out there, this is your first time listening to us. We appreciate you guys. Be sure to follow us on all social medias at just Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We have a podcast version on Apple and Spotify as well. We do a lot of cool interviews and recaps and preview shows throughout the year, so definitely check us out on there. But, Coach, you were hired in late February. You come from River Bluff High School, where you were the associate head coach, defensive coordinator, assistant strength coach, and assistant AD. A lot of stuff going on over there. But before that, you were at Fairfield Central, Blythewood, and North Mecklenburg. Let's just talk about how's the transition been going from River Bluff over to the new position here at Airport.
It's been good for the most part. Everybody's been really receptive. It's just the biggest thing is not really getting a chance to spend as much time with the kids as you'd like, and not really getting to know them like I'd want to. Monday, first day of spring ball was really the first day I've got a chance to really see those guys move around at all. And, we went out and we had some fun. We went through some drills and kind of set some standards. And then, we practiced a little bit. I let them have fun at the end. It wasn't a conventional. Everybody asked me, how was the first day of practice? I said, very unconventional. We played a fun game at the end, but we had helmets on. And so that's day one. And then my wife and my daughter came by and gave the guys some popsicles, and then we're off the field, and that's day one. And so it's been good. And, but at the same time, it's been tough some just because, I am still, and right now I'm actually the head strength coach for the time being at River Bluff. I guess the good thing is there's a lot of spring sports, and as the season went on, they didn't lift quite as much, preparing for the playoffs and things like that. But, all in all, I can't complain, man. I am very fortunate to be in the position I'm in, and just really excited about the future.
So Kevin listed off a partial resume there. I'm sure you got more in there. Coached both in North and South Carolina. And you played college ball. How'd you get into coaching?
So kind of crazy. I got done playing college football and graduated, and I moved to Charlotte, I guess back in 2000, and I was kind of done with football. I was burnt out, man. And I was working actually with a nonprofit agency that worked with like kids that were in the system in Charlotte. And we did community service at different schools. And I ended up, taking them over there to do community service to clean up North Mecklenburg. And the person that we met with was an assistant principal. And I just kind of thought about it like, how do you get into coaching? What can you do? And she says, what's your degree? And I said, psychology. And she's like, well, you can teach special ed. And I was like, cool. And so she introduced me to the principal, and it's funny because he and I started talking, and we talked for about an hour, never about teaching or about special education. We talked about football for an hour. And then, after we got done, he called the district office and said, hey, I'm sending a guy down there. We're going to hire him. And that was back in, I guess, 2004, and so it kind of started there. I was coaching running backs that first year because I played a little bit of running back in the day, and it started there. I spent 2 years there, and then I ended up going to Kannapolis High School, A.L. Brown High School, which is in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Strong tradition, great football program. Coached with a great coach who's now gone, passed on, Ron Massey. I learned a lot from him about just coaching and expectations. He had really high expectations for his coaches. And I learned a lot there. Was there for 2 years, and I went to West Brunswick High School, which is on the coast in Brunswick County, Charlotte, Calabash, along the beach. And I was there for a year, but I really missed my kids, because I kind of went through a separation during that time, and my kids were staying in Chester. And so I ended up, I used to drive back and forth from the beach to Chester, back and forth to see them. And I pulled over one day off of I-20 and Clemson Road, and I was at a Bojangles, and I saw that Spring Valley High School was on the wall in the Bojangles. And I said, let me check that school district out. And they had a strength coach job. And I applied and I got it, first job I ever got in my life that I didn't know somebody. And, I ended up going there and spending 6 years there, man. And, it's been great ever since. That was my introduction to South Carolina football, which, I think is a lot more, is a lot more highly thought of than in North Carolina, in my opinion. I just feel like there's more resources that go into football in South Carolina. And so 6 years at Blythewood, I was a special teams coordinator there. I was a head track coach for 6 years. Then I went on to Fairfield, where I was assistant AD, head track coach, and, strength coach there. And then, I ended up getting an opportunity to work with Coach Harden at River Bluff. I had known him kind of from back when I was at Kannapolis, because he's from Kannapolis and he was at Porter Ridge at the time, and we kind of got together, but it just didn't work out. And we ended up getting back together, and I was just excited for the opportunity to work with him, because there's this brand new high school that hasn't really established a culture yet. They're still trying to figure out who they are. And I just felt like I could learn a lot from him because he had a lot of experience. We went, 2-8 the first year. Year 2, he gave me an opportunity to be the defensive coordinator. And I learned a lot that year and moving forward. And then we kind of got it rolling, man. And it went from, us being everybody's homecoming to being a team that, certain schools didn't want to play. And, and it really helped change the culture of that entire school. Even though it's a great school, great culture, it's a phenomenal school, man. River Bluff is an outstanding school. I will always be a Gator. I always love that place. There's wonderful people there. And I do realize that, just being there and having that on my resume, helped prepare me for this opportunity and gave me a shot. So very, very excited about going to Airport, proud community. People that went to Airport High School love it. And just hoping that we can establish some winning ways, man, put some procedures in place. And I feel like we got a good plan, and we're going to go in there and work it and, and try to become a force to be reckoned with, man.
Glad you were able to turn the corner there at River Bluff. That kind of stuck with me a little. That resonated because when I was in high school, I was a terrible player, and we were everybody's homecoming. So I like that.
Well, Coach, talking about going from River Bluff to Airport, how long did that process take? Was it, you interviewed a few weeks later, you found out, or how long did that kind of take to go through the process of getting you hired over there?
I think I had like 4 interviews. I met with the principal and the superintendent. Then I met with I guess 3, maybe. No, it might've been 4. Then I met with a committee with coaches. And then I met one more time, with just the principal. And then, when he offered me the job, I met with him, one last time when it was just he and I. And so, it wasn't a too lengthy process. But I guess when you think about it, you want to just get in there and get to work and get working on it. You're like, I wish this thing would go a little bit faster, but it all really kind of happened fast. And I actually, at that same time, there were like a couple of jobs. Like I was interviewing at AC Flora. I didn't get it. And I actually, on my last interview to go to Airport, I found out like right before I was leaving to go to Airport, I found out that I didn't get the AC Flora job because I was a finalist for that one. And then, I accepted the Airport job. I was supposed to interview at Westwood, and I canceled, and I felt kind of bad about it. Because I know Coach Powell over there pretty well. My wife used to work at Westwood. She opened it actually. And so, we used to live right around the corner when we lived in Blythewood. I could walk to Westwood. And so, when I canceled on them, I felt kind of bad about it, but I knew that I was going to the right place, and that, there's an opportunity to really, really build something at Airport. And, I'm definitely looking forward to that, but process wasn't terribly long. You know, it was just really a lot going on. I missed a lot of days of school right then because I was interviewing somewhere like every day for like 2 weeks. So that was a little crazy.
So, Coach, you mentioned the process. You're still at River Bluff now until this summer, and just getting in the spring ball, and you're between two places right now. How is the search for staff? Have you completed your staff? Are you still in the process? And are you retaining any guys that were on last year's staff at Airport?
I spoke with a couple guys that, maybe coached last year and decided that they wanted to take some time off. I really reached out and talked to everybody that was on staff there already, but a couple guys wanted to take some time off. There were, 2 guys that I just lost last week who were going to stay, and then they got opportunities to go to other schools last week. Really awesome opportunities, and they, left. So and then I kept a couple guys that are still on staff there. And then there are a couple guys I thought maybe I might get. And then when they decided that they, were going to just stay where they were. And that happened to me a couple times, with like offensive line, offensive coordinator position. You had some guys that were trying to figure out if they wanted to make the move. And in the end, they decided not to. So, I got to a place where I was really close and I was like, oh, this is it, man. I got everybody in place. And then I get a couple phone calls. Hey, coach, well, this thing came open and, I think I'm going to go. And, and I'm happy for the guys because, the one thing you want on your staff is you want guys on your staff that want to progress and they want to grow in the profession. You don't really want to have a staff full of guys that are just comfortable with being there and doing whatever you tell them all the time, because, you can grow stagnant like that, man. And so the fact that, I lost a young guy who had an opportunity to go be a strength coach. He's still in school. He's about to graduate and, and he loves Airport, but I encouraged him. I said, look, man, you don't have to feel bad about it. If you have a great opportunity, go chase it, and if it ends up not working out in a couple of years, hit me up and we'll see if you can come back home. And that's the way that it is. So, it's all about just really finding good people. I've plucked a couple guys from other schools that, are good guys and good coaches. And I feel like they have a lot of value and can add value to the staff and to the school. And, and that's been good, but I'm still kind of searching for a couple positions. If you know an offensive line coach, tell them, come holler at me. But it's come together.
Awesome. Well, Coach, what kind of schemes do you prefer to run on both sides of the ball? And then also, are you going to call plays for either side this season?
My plan is to call the defense, because I know it. Here's the thing. I'm coming in. A lot of times defensive coaches don't get hired as head coaches because everybody likes to score points. And, the defensive guy comes in, and I just realized that with that comes a certain responsibility. So, I feel like if we're going to have success, we need to establish ourselves as a, strong, hard-nosed defensive team. And I think that was really one of the things that helped kind of turn it around at River Bluff, is we were able to put some kids in places to make plays and get turnovers. And, the crowd got excited and the atmosphere was out of this world, but kids, they flew around, man, and they made plays for us. And so, this week we've kind of only been working defense because I still got some kids at track. I still got some kids playing baseball. And so we're focused on, terminology and alignment, assignments and things like that with the defense all week, because I want to be good on defense. I told the kids yesterday, man, if they don't score, they can't win. And so we're going to focus on that and make sure that that's a priority. And, I'd like to try to stay with the 3-4 scheme that we've used for the last 3 years. It's been really, really good to me. It kind of takes away those interior gaps and allows the linebackers to run and make plays. I feel like I got some pretty athletic kids over at Airport that can run a little bit, that, can make plays if given the opportunity. So going to try to stick with that as best as we can offensively. Like I said, I kind of went through a couple of coordinators. I thought we were going to maybe doing this and maybe doing that. And then in the end, I just decided, I've been kind of preparing for a long time to be a head coach. And so with that, I may not have had an offensive scheme on paper per se, but I had an idea of some of the things that I wanted to do offensively. And, I want to be able to kind of base out of 11 personnel and move tight end, when we need to be able to outnumber guys and, have people kind of pick their poison. Like, do you want to dedicate guys to the box and try to stop the run and, have some RPO tagged off some of that run game stuff and just really try to figure out who our playmakers are and how can we get them the ball, right? I mean, it's always players, not plays, but there'll be some gap scheme runs. There'll be some RPOs off of it and just really trying to figure out who that guy is that does a really good job of blocking in the run game, but can also sneak out in the pass game and make plays for you when you need them. And I don't know who that is yet, but, we'll figure out who he is and get him coached up. And, I like 11 personnel. It's kind of the best of both worlds because it allows you to throw the football effectively and kind of create matchups. Because when you got that tight end in the game, you gotta walk down on him a lot of times, or he's going to be up on your backers. And sometimes that might allow you to get a one-on-one outside with your X receiver or your number one guy and, kind of take some shots with him. So, going to figure out who the guys are, try to get them the ball and just be really multiple and flexible in that. But, definitely want to be as balanced as we can be. But, figure out really what our offensive line's good at too. Are we better at run blocking? Are we better at pass setting? If we're not very good at run blocking, we're probably not going to run it very well. We need to figure out how to screen people and then get the ball out quick. But we're gonna try to stay balanced and figure out who needs the ball and then get it to them.
So, Coach, you mentioned a couple coaches that you looked up to as mentors on the high school level as you progressed to become the head coach at Airport. Who are a couple guys that you maybe on the college level or professional level that you model your style after, or maybe a big influence on your coaching style?
Definitely, Coach Tressel, man. Coach Jim Tressel, who I played for at Youngstown State. I feel like he helped me understand really what it meant to be a man and what it meant to be a responsible, high character person. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was always the best guy. I definitely, when I was in high school, thought very highly of myself. And then I got to college and I figured out that everybody was pretty doggone good. And there were times where that was frustrating. There were times I didn't make the best decisions, but he taught me about things I never really paid attention to, like, perseverance and how important it is to continue to fight regardless. And, I learned about, and I try to push this in my program is I didn't understand how important it was for you to love your teammates. And that's going to be the number one thing in my program is we got to love each other, because when you love each other, there's nothing you won't do for your teammate. And every successful football team or team period that I've been around, when I think about it, we loved each other. When I was in high school, my senior year, we were pretty good and we loved each other, man. And that was what kind of kept us ticking. When I was on that 97 national championship team at Youngstown State University, we loved each other. And those guys, they made plays for each other. We made plays for each other and we played together. And a lot of us still communicate till this day. But, I really, really learned that from him. And a lot of who I am as a coach comes from Coach Tressel. And some of the things I'm going to do within my program come from Coach Tressel because, the thing about it is, Youngstown State really hasn't been the same since he left. And so that really says a lot about him and what he meant to that program and just how he built it. Another person, Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy, I think, is an outstanding man. You want to talk about, persevering to overcome, the death of a child and to be as humble and to be as positive as he is, despite all the things he's gone through. Obviously, it says a lot about who he is as a person. God-fearing man, his faith is extremely important. So Tony Dungy is somebody I obviously look up to. And then, I mean, obviously, if you don't look up to a winner, then who are you? So, I mean, you know, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, man, they're as good as it gets. And I mean, we all want to win and we want to make a difference. And, you know, there's a thing I picked up, you know, people think like Saban's like this crazy, you know, mean dude, but you know, a lot of what he does and talks about, I listened to him on something one time, and he was talking about how, you know, if your job is to change a kid's life, then you don't just kick them off the team because they made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? And I learned from that because, you know, so many times we have consequences, things in place. Hey, you miss this many days, you're gone. You do this, you're gone, you know, and there's certain things, obviously, that, you know, if they got certain character flaws, like, you know, if somebody's a thief, you know, then they're probably a thief and you probably don't need them around your team. But, you know, if a kid struggles with time or struggles with practice or commitment, you know, you got to think about like, okay, if he's not here, what's he going to be doing? Right. And that's kind of how Saban put it. Like, you know, what are they doing? If you want to make a change, you know, give them a consequence. You know, maybe that consequence gets more and more stiff as you go. But you didn't get into this to just run kids off. And so, you know, when I figured that out and I picked that up from him, I said, you know what? I mean, that's making sense. If we're going to make a difference, we got to keep the kids here. So Nick Saban, Bill Belichick are both outstanding coaches. Obviously, I mean, they're, you know, what they've accomplished speaks for itself. And, you know, people hate a winner, but I love a winner. You know, and I'm always going to look up to them dudes.
Awesome. So your son, Apollos Cook, is transferring over to play for you at Airport next year. He's a big-time player, 3-star recruit. How cool is it to be able to coach your son, you know, in high school and just see all the great accolades and, you know, and to see the kind of person he's becoming?
Man, I'll tell you, this is something I've always dreamed about. I'd never thought it would happen. I mean, and I honestly, you know, last year, first game of the season, Coach Harden, you know, he was quarantined, and, you know, and I was the interim head coach for the Lugoff Elgin game. And my son had a big game. He had like 3 TDs, and, you know, I was over the punt return team, and the first touchdown of the game was on a bad snap, and he scoops and scores on the punt team and scored, man. And I was like, storybook ending, that's it, man. I'm good. We lived a dream and it's over, you know. And then you know, and then this job comes open, and, you know, and I asked him, I'm like, you know, do you want to stay or do you want to come? And he said he wanted to come. So I mean, obviously something since I've been coaching that I've always, you know, been dreaming about, man. So it's a dream come true for him to be coming with me his senior year, and for us to just try to go out with a bang, man. I know that Airport in the last few years hasn't been as successful as some people may like, but, you know, and again, I asked him about some of those other interviews, places that I interviewed for. And I said, what order would you like to go to those schools? And Airport was first. And he said, you know, last year wasn't great, but, you know, Dad, we can go and make them better. And that meant something. And so, you know, I'm really, really excited. I know he's finishing up track season right now, and he won't be able to participate this spring in spring ball. But, you know, we're going to hit the ground running this summer. And I'm really, really excited for him and the opportunity that he has, and the positivity and the work ethic and all those things he's going to bring to the program, you know, and for those kids to see, because I mean, he's been recruited fairly well, and a lot of kids look up to him, man. And so to be able to bring him along with me and for them to see him and how he goes about things on a daily basis, I'm hoping really rubs off and helps some of the other kids to see, okay, this is how you do it. You know, and him along with some of the other leaders that I already have over there in place, I think as they come together could really allow us to have a special season.
So you mentioned your son; he's a special talent. I know you've had limited time to acclimate yourself with the rest of the roster, but are there any other guys that you've identified so far that could be special playmakers for you next season?
You know, like I say, we've kind of spent the week doing defensive stuff, and I've seen some kids move. You know, but I know that, for instance, I know, you know, I got a rising senior quarterback, you know, who I think can be a good player. He plays on our baseball team. He's the third baseman, Kyle Chavis, and I'm really looking forward to seeing his growth and him getting his opportunity this year. He kind of sat and watched and learned last year behind another senior, and it's his turn, and we're going to figure out how to put him in position to be successful and do the things that he can do. I know that we had an all-region receiver last year, Kendall Stroman, who was all-region last year, and I feel like he can be a good player for us. We have a returning running back, Jacaden Kynard, who's as hard of a working kid as there is. He puts in the work every day on the track in the weight room, and he's somebody that I feel like works extremely hard, and I'm excited to see what it is he's going to be able to accomplish this year. I got a couple projects. I got a huge D lineman, man, that I'm just, if he ever figures out that what he has and what he's been blessed with, he can go as far as he wants. Kid named DJ McFadden. He's about 6'5", 6'6", 320 pounds. And he can move like anybody. And, the second he figures out that I can dominate a football game, he's going to give people fits. And then I got an offensive tackle, Dylan Barber. He's a rising junior, kid's 6'5", about 260 pounds. He ran a 5.07 at the combine last week, which is phenomenal for somebody that size, and just moves really well. So there's a lot of pieces and a lot of people that I feel like, even though I haven't got a chance to see yet, I can see the potential in some of these kids. And I know that, if they can buy into what we're doing, and if they commit to the summer, that, moving forward, we'll have an opportunity to really, really put a good product out on the field on Friday night and go out there and compete, man. And, it starts week 0 against Swansea at home, and that says a lot. And then, week 1, we're at Brooklyn Casey, which is a huge rivalry. And, I'm not overlooking Swansea by any means, because I think it starts there. But if you have success there and you come back and you have success against Brooklyn Casey, who's had our number, I think, the last 9 times in a row, that could really set you up for really an outstanding season. So I'm looking forward, to those games and what they mean to our season as a whole.
Coach, one of the main responsibilities, obviously, of you guys is to help get your guys to the next level if that's what they want to do. With it being so hard for some guys to get recruited these days with the transfer portal, stuff like that going on, how much of, the day-to-day is that you trying to make connections with coaches, things like that? And then also with it being the spring evaluation period, have you seen many guys stop by airport or even River Bluff so far this spring?
Yeah. So I met, I met with, Georgia Southern and Presbyterian today. They came by River Bluff, and I just, the coach of Presbyterian, he's like, I'll come meet you at the airport. I said, look, man, just come by River Bluff. We'll knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. So I got to see them, and, I talked to Coach Parks, Perry Parks from Charlotte yesterday. He's probably going to come by practice tomorrow. And, Furman came by the other day and I missed them, and Benedict came by and I missed them. But on Monday, I took the day off, and Marshall came by, and I got a chance to talk to them, and I talked to Clemson. And, so I've had an opportunity, Kennesaw State, I've got a chance to get in touch with some coaches and kind of, meet them and just talk about, how they got to where they are. Mm-hmm. And, what it is they're looking for, and when's their camp, and who they like to see, and all those things. So really developing those relationships and connections with them. I talked to Will Hunter from Georgia State today, who, ex-quarterback at Lexington High School, but, now he's there and he's moving up in the ranks. And he called me today, and we had a really good conversation, about, what his plan is moving forward. And he's going to be in this area some. And so just developing that relationship with him, so that as the seasons go on and times go on, they know that, through your relationship that you've built, that if you tell them, hey, this kid you need to look at, then they take your word for it. And so, just really trying to build those relationships with those guys and find out what they're about and what it is that they're looking for.
So kind of sticking to that theme, Coach, the Palmetto Combine series was hosted by River Bluff over the weekend. Love seeing the pictures of that for the Midland portion. Were you able to participate in that event? And if so, how did it go?
So I went And I saw my guys. I definitely probably went more as a father than as a coach, you know, because my son did go and he did participate. He had a pretty good day. I saw, you know, like I said, my running back, Jacaden Conard, I saw him. He had a good day. Linebacker that I didn't mention, Carlos Anderson. He had a good day. And then my offensive lineman, Dylan Barber, he went as well. Kendall Stroman went. But the best part for me was, like, after it was over, I had coaches call or text me and say, "Hey, coach, I worked with your guy today. He was awesome. You know, I worked with, you know, your offensive lineman today, man. He's going to be a player. I worked with your linebacker. He did a great job, you know, leverage tackling, you know, doing this, running to the football, whatever it is. He's going to be a good player for you. Good luck." And so that was great. I didn't stick around as long as I had wanted. My wife had a surprise celebration planned for me that I did not know about. You know, and so she's a rock star, man. And she had some of my old coaching buddies come around, and we spent some time together, and they kind of helped celebrate this accomplishment, this head coach accomplishment that you know is happening for me right now. And so that was an awesome experience too. But you know, there were a lot of really, really good players out there. You know, some kids that could run, some kids that could catch, and I enjoyed watching them compete. You know, and so I think it's great that they put that together, and that, you know, you got kids that are going to be able to partake in that for years to come. It ran really, really smooth too. You know, you don't see a lot of combines run as smooth as that one did, but I thought they kept it moving, and they got things done and got everybody's measurements and everything like that. And we were out of there. So great event. We really, really enjoyed it. And I think moving forward that it's nothing but, you know, positive, you know, for that combine and the kids in South Carolina.
So you're into spring practice now. Do you guys have your spring game already scheduled? And after that, do you have any 7-on-7s lined up for the summer?
Yeah, so we're gonna do our spring game on May 23rd, and you know, it's a Monday. But so what's crazy is in Lex 2, the last week of May, that's when kids graduate. They're gonna graduate on May 27th, and then, you know, you go for Memorial Day weekend and they don't come back. So we're gonna, that Monday, we're going to have some type of spring game, you know, an opportunity for the kids to compete and a little bit of bragging rights. And then I talked to my booster club about, you know, us just creating a family atmosphere, having the coaches and their wives and families come, and, you know, some hamburgers, hot dogs for the kids and the cheerleaders. And that's something that I was watching our film from the spring game last year, and I noticed our cheerleaders were on the sideline cheering, and I was like, that's really cool. So I talked to our cheerleading coach, and she says the cheerleaders like to be at the spring game. So I think that that's great, but just really want to try to create that family atmosphere there after we compete a little bit, and that'll be a big deal. As we go into the summer, as far as tournaments, not doing any tournaments, thought about it, you know, like Blythewood's got their big tournament, the Justin Bethel tournament that we competed in, the first one when I was at Fairfield. Great tournament, and it's got some heavy hitters in it this year, for sure. But, you know, he kind of got full before I could kind of get with him. And then I know Lower Richland's got a big tournament that they're doing, and those will both be great, very competitive. We're just going to spend 2 Wednesdays at Gilbert, just, you know, competing and coaching and talking kids through things rather than trying to go participate in a big tournament. You know, I just want to coach them up and get them ready, get some reps, and you know, just be able to teach during tournaments. You don't really get a chance to teach because it's next play. They might be going tempo. Maybe you film it, maybe you didn't, whatever. But I want to be able to coach my kids up. So we're going to go over there on 2 Wednesdays and compete against Gilbert, who Coach Leaphart does a phenomenal job over there. It'll be extremely competitive, I know, you know, because he does just a great job. And so I'm excited to go over there and compete with those guys. And, you know, I called him after I got the job. I said, Coach, do you want to play? And he said, no, we're full this year, but I'm hoping, like, you know, in the future, because they're not very far from us, that is a game that we can maybe play year in and year out. Because I feel like the, you know, just the support from the 2 communities would just be outstanding. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to.
So earlier you mentioned your non-region schedule, but you're in a pretty difficult region like most of the teams throughout the state. You're in Region 4, 4A, Midland Valley. They've got a new coach or newer coach and a big-time transfer like you got with your son coming.
Yeah.
South Aiken's been on a roll. We
Yeah.
just spoke with Matt Quinn at North Augusta. That's the program with a lot of tradition and history. What's it going to be like in the challenges of competing in that region? And also, you're taking over as the AD at Airport. Did you have any say-so in creating the schedule for this season?
Well, so the schedule was already kind of complete. I did have a team back out on me. I won't, snitch or anything, but and I could and I only have 9 games because that team backed out on me. But we have our non-region schedule. We're playing Irmo, who I know is going to be really good. Coach Brand is a friend of mine. He does a phenomenal job. He's from that Tommy Notch tree. And I mean, he's going to do a really, really good job, and it's going to be a tough game. But also, playing Lugoff Elgin, and they do a good job over there as well. They always have players, and you got a lot of really good football coaches on that staff. I know a couple of those guys. But as far as our region, Coach Quinn he did a good job at Westwood, and I know that they're going to be well prepared. I think the world of Coach Hammy over at South Aiken. I think he's an outstanding coach. Does a great job of adjusting offensively and kind of figuring out what your weakness is. We had a game that was close with them last year at River Bluff for 3.5 quarters, and then he kind of exploited us late in the fourth quarter, and they beat us by a touchdown or 2. And he's got 2, really, really good players. His running back was a freshman last year. He was outstanding. Quarterback was as shifty as any player that we saw last year at River Bluff. So I know that those 2 guys can absolutely play. Aiken always has athletes. Obviously, they just, they got a good mix of kids and a lot of athletes and some, I know I saw this kid at a track meet who, looked like the Incredible Hulk. And I'm like, dang, like I got to deal with this kid now too. And, and so they do, I know that the quarterback over there at North Augusta, Colson Brown, we saw him last year. We scrimmaged North Augusta and we 7-on-7 and with them. And he can sling it. And, so I know that all of those guys are going to be tough, obviously, with that running back coming into Midland Valley. I'm like, oh, great. Like I didn't have enough to worry about. Now I got to worry about this kid too. And he's outstanding, got, SEC offers and things. And, and I know I'm pretty sure the coach from over there came from Camden. He was a DC at Camden. So I know he does a good job. He did a good job at Camden, and he was a part of that staff because Camden, they've had it rolling the last few years. So,
Sure.
I know that it's going to be tough. The non-region is going to be tough. The region schedule is going to be tough. But, I think one thing I did, and I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing, hopefully it doesn't hurt us, is, my scrimmages are going to be really tough. And, we're going to scrimmage River Bluff, Camden, and Blythewood. And so you got, we're a 4A scrimmaging 2. That's our first scrimmage. We got 2 5A teams and a team that just played for back-to-back state championships. And then the next week, we're going to scrimmage White Knoll, who Coach Pelham is getting those guys going. They're super athletic. They're going to be flying around. And then we're playing in the Lex 1 Jamboree, and we're going to play Lexington. So well-coached football teams, high-quality football teams that are always good year in and year out. And so, people are, I had somebody ask me like, Coach, why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, because, I want to be considered, with some of the best, man. And so I don't want to play teams I know I can beat up on all the time. Now, obviously maybe I might have bit off more than I could chew. I don't know, but I don't just want our kids to see, I don't want them to just play and think about how good those teams are. I also want them to see how disciplined those teams are and how well coached those teams are. And, when we watch film, be able to point out maybe small things that some of those kids do that are really, really good and say, now look, this kid's job is to do this. Look how well he does that. Look, he stayed square, or look how he runs his feet, or look at his leverage and things like that. And so, you know, I feel like scrimmaging against good teams gives you a teaching tool, you know, when you're showing your kids film, to be able to show them, you know, this is how you do it, not just how we're doing it wrong, but show them how we're doing it right when we do it right, but also show them how other teams do things the right way as well.
So, Coach, we mentioned it briefly earlier. You played at Youngstown State under, you know, historic coach Jim Tressel. Not only how cool is it to play for him, but you guys won a national title in '97. Like, how awesome was that experience?
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, that team really, really loved each other, man. You know, and so for me in that year, and just to tell you, you want to talk about learning about love. So, second game of the season, I broke off a 24-year-old run against Kent State, and I tore my PCL. And it was I don't know if you know about a PCL, but they don't heal themselves. So what I ended up doing actually was bracing up for the rest of the season, and I played scout team for the rest of the year. So it's kind of crazy, some of the people that we played and some of the teams that we went against along that playoff run. So one team we went against, Villanova was the #1 team in the country, and they had Brian Finnerman, and they had Westbrook that played for the Eagles for a long time. So I'm Westbrook in practice all week, you know, and so I'm trying to give them fits all week as we push through preparing for that game. I remember we played Eastern Washington. They had a guy, Jeff Osgood. He played for the Miami Dolphins, you know, for a long time. And so, you know, it was a humbling experience, but it also showed me how important it was and how everybody could contribute. And so, although I didn't suit up and I didn't play in that game that year, I felt just as much a part of contributing to that national championship, because I knew my job every week was to get those guys ready to play. And going through that experience really helped me as a coach, and showing those guys, my team and the guys that I coach, like, look, you may not be the guy, you know, you might not be the guy, but you can still have a role that leads to this team being successful. And so, you know, we all celebrated, man. It was outstanding. And it was a 9-7 game or 10-7 game, beat McNeese State, threw a late touchdown. Only our touchdown came after a turnover, big sack. My buddy Jared Good, who coaches up at Cleveland Benedictine right now, up in Ohio, you know, for his alma mater. I still remember, you know, on that sack, man, he was bear crawling to get to the quarterback. Like, he got blocked and he's bear crawling on his hands and knees to get to the quarterback to be able to force that strip sack. And there's just a lot of really good memories that you have. Like, even that Villanova game, we were down in the first quarter, like 21-0. And then, you know, they're #1 team in the nation, and they got NFL players, and we came back and we won that game. And so going through that entire experience, to be able to contribute, although I didn't play in that game, but to contribute and just see the inner workings of how everybody has a role in creating a champion, I think is something else that really just prepared me for this opportunity that I have right now, because I understand. And one of the things I'll talk about in my program is it takes everyone, man. It's not just about that star player or the one coach or the quarterback or the running back or the linebacker. It really, really takes everyone. And it took every single person in our football program to win that national championship, and I'll never forget it.
All right, Coach. So on to some fun stuff here, and we got to be more specific about this question.
Okay.
What is the most electric atmosphere you have coached a game, high school game, in the state of South Carolina?
Ooh, I tell you what, man. 3 years ago, probably, we played River Bluff played Gilbert, and Gilbert was stacked with seniors. They had Jai Toll on that quarterback. They had the transfer, Alec Holt. He came in and he's phenomenal. You know, when you had, they had players everywhere. I think 20 of their 22 starters were seniors. And, you know, and it was their year. They were putting up 500 and something yards a game, 45 points a game, 50 points a game, whatever. And we both came into that game undefeated, man. And Gilbert America showed up on the visitor side at the Swamp. It's standing room only. We had standing room only. And although I was the DC and we gave up way too many points, you know, it was loud, and it was just, you know, I think the one thing I look back and think about is that first year I got to River Bluff, the atmosphere wasn't like that, man. And then in year, I guess 3, that atmosphere was outstanding. Student section on both sides, out of this world. You know, and I still, you know, on my computer, my screensaver is like a picture of the stadium from that game. And it's just standing room only. And I just remember the roar at the end of the game. You know, we're up, we're trying to get a stop, and the only stop, seems like the only stop we got all night. They tried to throw a little seam shot, and he overthrew the kid because my inside linebacker did a good job of forcing the high throw. My safety plays over the top. He picks the ball off, and everybody just goes nuts, man. And it was just, I'll never forget that. But it was amazing. And that was a night where I said, man, this is what high school football is all about.
Awesome.
So, Coach, you're from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
You played collegially in Ohio.
Yeah.
How much better is the weather down here than what you had up there?
Well, man, let me tell you something. I'm never going back, my man. You know, I moved I moved down here in 2000. I moved to Charlotte in 2000, and I'll never forget. I called one of my buddies. It was like Thanksgiving or Christmas. I think it was Thanksgiving, and I'm outside with shorts with the grill going. And I knew right then, I told him, I said, look, I'm never coming back. You know, I ended up going up there maybe a year later for Christmas. And this, you know, in the snow, it was snowing, and then it stopped. And so up there in Buffalo, if they say lake effect snow bands, that means it's coming. And so they're like, it's coming in the middle of the night. So I told a lady that moved down to Charlotte too, as well. I said, look, I'm leaving. You stay here if you want to. I'm out, because I'm not getting stuck. And so I took like the back roads, like I-90, the interstate was closed. It was blocked. You can't drive. I took back roads all the way from Buffalo to Erie, Pennsylvania. And then it was kind of smooth sailing, got back to Charlotte. And the next morning, Buffalo was on the front page of the Charlotte Observer. And they had brought in the National Guard to help clear out snow and everything. And I was like, never going back, my man. So it's great. I mean, I can wear shorts about year round. I don't have to shovel. The salt doesn't eat up the bottom of your car and make it a rust bucket. The only thing I really miss about home, I mean, I miss my family that's still there and that's still living. And I miss the food, because the food is outstanding. From the pizza to the wings, the subs, the tacos. I got my spots up there that I really love. There's a lot of mom and pop spots up there, more than chains, or if it is a chain, it's just a local chain that's just there. So I do miss that though.
All right, so you brought up food. I'm a huge barbecue fan. I'm trying to find the best barbecue in the Midlands. So have you identified a spot? And then outside of barbecue, where else do you like to go?
Best barbecue in the Midlands, you know, and I don't like to say this because I don't know, but I am a fan.
Just say it.
I tell you what, and maybe it's not the best, but I go there because they have brisket. But there are 2 places I like. I like Big Boy's Barbecue off Farrell Road. They got some really, really good barbecue. It's a mom and pop shop. And then I like Midwood Smokehouse over in, I guess that's not Forest Acres area. I guess it's kind of close to Forest Acres, but I like Midwood. They got Midwood in Charlotte as well. But, you know, I'm a big brisket fan. I like ribs. And I like chicken and all that, but you know, you throw me a couple slabs of brisket and it's on and popping. Like I like some brisket, but other spots I really like, I don't know, man. It just really depends. Big Boys is good though. Big Boys, you go over there, they got a couple premium sides. They give you some gumbo. They got smoked turkey wings. It's really, really good over there. A couple years ago, I got turned on to sushi, man. And, I started to eat some sushi, and now I don't know. I kind of, I don't know. I like it a lot. And so,
I'm with you, Coach. I like all food. So
yeah, man. So I like sushi. It's good. We live in Lexington. There's a little spot right around the corner that I love called Sukiya. They got, sushi, and I go there. It's crazy. My wife, she gets upset sometimes because I'll call there and the lady knows it's me already. She's like, how she know it's you? But I order there, so I placed my order, and she's like, all right, Mr. Cook. I don't even have to tell her who I am anymore because I ordered a bunch of monster rolls from there. So that's always good. I tell you what, I like Jay Peters a lot. Jay Peters got some good shrimp. You get over there and get into that a little bit. All of those are good. And, obviously Carolina wings. I like those Cajun, the Cajun honey and Buffalo Cajun ranch. Those are my two favorite flavors up over there.
Awesome. Perfect.
So, Coach, your son's not the only athlete in the family. Your daughter's a pretty good volleyball player from what we hear. How did her season go last year?
So she's in club season right now, which is crazy. Club will run you ragged, man, because they're out of town every weekend, and trying to deal with kind of both of them, like my son taking trips and her having volleyball. And I don't get to see her as much as I'd like to play. I'd like to see her play. But the thing that I really admire about her, man, is since she started playing, she has just gotten so much better. And I still think the sky's the limit. She's still got 2 years left. And I think she's really figuring out what she can do. She's starting to hit the ball really, really well. She's really, really been a force at the net here lately. And so I think last year, she played JV last year, 10th grader. Obviously, River Bluff's volleyball program is very good. They played for state championship last year. She wants to stay at River Bluff because she said if they win state and she comes to airport, she's going to be upset. And I can't be mad at her. And so she's going to stay around. But, their JV team won the region last year, and she, played a lot of good minutes, man. But like I say, she is just from the first, because her first time ever playing was 7th grade. And, she's a worker, and she pays attention to detail, and, they're both phenomenal students. They both just got inducted in the National Honor Society, which is great. And, it's kind of crazy. She's competitive because, like he took his PSAT in 10th grade, and then, she's like, oh, I got to beat him. So she got a better score. And then, so now he had a really good SAT. So now I know her goal is going to be to score higher than him on the SAT. But I'm proud of them both. Like I say, she doesn't even, I wish I could get her to run track because I feel like she would dominate. But, I'm like, you should just go out there and long and triple jump. And she's like, no, because then I got to run to the pit. And I'm like, come on now. You're like built like a runner. And I can't convince her for anything. But, just seeing her development's been outstanding. And I just can't wait to see where it takes her.
So you're from Buffalo. Are you a Bills fan, or did you pick up the Panthers when you came down south? And if you're still a Bills fan, how bad were those 4 Super Bowl losses?
So never been a Bills fan. Everybody in my family are Bills fans. I was a Giants fan.
No, not the Giants.
I was a Giants fan, and I pulled for the Giants. And but apparently, I guess when I was really young, before I knew any better, they used to put like Dallas Cowboy stuff on me.
It's America's team.
I burnt those pictures, because I don't want to be associated. But I was a Giants fan when I was younger, and then when I first moved to Charlotte, like I say, I wasn't in education. I used to work downtown Charlotte on Church Street, and I could actually see Bank of America Stadium from the window in my office, and I was excited to be downtown and have a team right there downtown because, the Bills play in Orchard Park, and, it's not in the downtown area. And so, you get down there and the tailgating and all that stuff, even though, the Bill Stadium is the tailgating there gets pretty wild. But, I became a Panthers fan when I moved down here.
Nice.
Right in 2000 I did. And so I went through all the misery, that they've taken me through, and never having a back-to-back winning season. And, I tell you what, I remember the year they went 1-15, and, they won the first game of the season, then they lost like 15 straight. And I feel like there was like 12 of those games where they lost on the last play of the game, and they just couldn't finish, man. But, I think part of the reason I never became a Buffalo Bills fan is because they always let you down. And you think about those 4 Super Bowls and the fact that they lost 4 in a row and how excited everybody was every year, and then they lost. And then you think about the Music City Miracle and how they got their heart broken then. And then you think about this year where, they got a chance to doggone possibly go win and play for a Super Bowl, and they blow it. And that's why I never have ever believed in the Buffalo Bills.
Awesome. Well, Coach, to kind of wrap it up here, what are some of your goals for the 2022 season there at Airport?
We got about 4 or 5 goals that I'm going to have every year, man. The first one is we want to win every single home game. We want to put on a show for our home fans, and we want to win every single home game. We want to create an experience. We want to create an atmosphere. We want everybody to be involved, and we're going to work to do that. Another thing, I want to win the region. And people might not believe I can do it or that we can do it, but it's absolutely a goal of mine. I don't think it's too far-fetched. I feel like we compete. I feel like we have the guys. I feel like if we're bought in, that we absolutely can contend for a region championship, and I'm going to continue to sell that to the guys. Another thing is I want to practice on Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's in the cards this year, but we're going to move towards that. Each and every year that's going to be a goal. And then, obviously I don't think year one we can win a state championship, but moving forward, I want to be considered with some of the best teams in the state of South Carolina in 4A. And we're going to work towards that. So, really this year, I want to make sure we really develop a relationship with our feeder programs and, make sure they understand that they are a part of what we're building and where their role is, and kind of show those kids what they mean to Airport football and that they're the future. So reaching out to them and creating different experiences for them, and that's a whole part of the game day experience. And these days you got to recruit your own players. So figuring out ways to make that exciting for them, and and just really set expectations and create a culture of love and family and competition where, we feel like we can compete with anybody that we line up against. And we do it because we love each other and we love our community. And, we believe that each and every time we go out. So, again, I couldn't be more excited about it, man. I'm learning daily about just kind of what it takes. And I understand it's not going to happen overnight. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and sit back and act like it's going to take 5 years. We're going to go attack it now and see what we can accomplish, and, and make adjustments as we go. But I'm just really, really excited about this season.
I think that's all I got. Jerel, anything else you wanted to ask before we let Coach go here?
Oh, no, not at all. It was great speaking with you, Coach Cook. Wish you continued success in this season. I know you got a lot going on with the transition, leaving River Bluff and then becoming the AD as well. But congratulations on those. And, you'll definitely have some fans in Moving the Chains.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on, man. This is great. This is the thing, I didn't realize, I've done a couple interviews, man. I think I'm getting better, but, with this responsibility, but I just, I'm just happy that it's highlighting Airport High School and the athletes there, and, and the community that we have in place. And I appreciate you guys for having me on. It really means a lot.
We appreciate that, Coach. Like you mentioned, Airport, great community. So all you guys out there, make sure you go follow Coach Cook on Twitter and follow the social pages. Keep up to date with those guys. Also follow us if this is your first time on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Definitely keep you guys up to date throughout the season with some interviews and whatnot. But Coach, we really appreciate your time. We look forward to stopping by our practice. Hopefully meet you sometime soon or sometime this summer, and hopefully coming to a game next year.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Guys are always welcome. Just let me know when you want to come by.
We'll do it. Thanks, Coach. Talk to you soon.
All right. You have a good night.